for bid. Be receiving that information as well. Is called view. That's getting more out of your bids. You please. Compliance.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francisco Nunez. I am a certification and compliance officer with the city. I'll be going over our certification process a little bit in detail. I do ask that you please hold your questions till the end, and we'll have a Q&A where we'll be able to answer all those questions. If we do run out of time, it's okay. I'll hang around for a few minutes, make sure that everyone's questions are answered. Okay. Okay. So just to start off, we're gonna go over. We're gonna go over our 5 certification types. We have our minority-owned business enterprise, women-owned business enterprise, BEPD, which is a business enterprise owned and or managed by a person with disability. Then we have our DBE, which is disadvantaged business enterprise, ACDBE, which is airport concession disadvantaged business enterprise. Now, DBE and ACDBE are regulated by federal regulations. MBE, WBE, and BEPD are local regulations that we have here at the City of Chicago. Okay, what we do. The Department of Procurement Services is a contracting authority for the procurement of goods and services for the City of Chicago. We work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. Okay? Furthermore, DPS is committed to providing information, resources, and tools to assist you in your efforts to compete for and... What, is good now?
No.
They can't? Okay, I'm sorry. Can they hear me now? I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So, again, DPS is committed to providing information, resources, and tools to assist you in your efforts to compete for City of Chicago contracting opportunities, okay? We accept and review new applications for the 5 certification programs we have. We also, once you're certified, we also review your annual no change affidavit that you have to submit. And then every 5 years, you need to submit a recertification application. But this only applies to our MBE, WBE, and BEPD program. Our DBE and ACDBE program, federal regulations require that you only submit a no change affidavit every year. Until further notice, we will not be taking 5-year recertification applications. Okay, and we also contract compliance with negotiating contractual MBE, DBE, WBE participation goals. So once, if you are part of a contract, we will make sure that that contract is being enforced and all of our compliance goals are being met. Okay, we set standards for contract participation for MWBE as well as DBE and ACDBE participation. So most of our contracts will have goals where there must be a participation of MBE and WBE firms. If we are using federal money, it will have DBE goals on it. If it has to do with the airports, it will have ACDBE goals on it. Okay, we assist vendors through our websites, www.cityofchicago.org/procurement and chicago.mwdbe.com. Chicago.mwdbe.com is the portal where you will fill out your application. What are the benefits of being certified? It provides visibility. Once you're certified with us, you will be listed in our directory. Our directory is where anyone in the general public can come and see what companies are certified. They can see you by, they can look you up by name, they can look you up by certification, they can look you up by the type of work that you conduct and that you provide. There are minority and women disadvantaged person goals in every, not every, but most City of Chicago projects and sister agencies. There are also private sector companies that seek participation of minority and women-owned businesses. Okay, the City of Chicago also has Target Market Program, which provides exclusive bidding to certain minority and women-owned businesses. This allows certified businesses take 100% of the contract because there are no subcontractor goals assigned with the project. So sometimes we will have smaller contracts out there that we will require that the bidder must be certified either as an MBE or WBE. These are smaller contracts, and this allows our certified firms to participate at a larger scale, by being the prime contractor instead of being a subcontractor to a prime. Okay, there are requirements to qualify for the program. One of the main requirements is you have to be a part of a qualifying group. Our qualifying groups are African American, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, women, persons with disability, and other individuals who can prove social and economic disadvantage. So if you are part of a group that is not defined by any of these categories, you can submit what's called an Affidavit of Disadvantage. In your Affidavit of Disadvantage, you will answer a series of questions and provide supporting documentation stating why you feel that you have been why you are disadvantaged, either economically or socially. If this goes to an independent review board who then decides whether you qualify for the program or not. This is not something that the certifying officer will decide. Also, if you are applying for our BEPD program, persons with disability, we are not the people that determine whether your disability qualifies for certification or not. You would have to submit a Schedule G to the Mayor's Office of Peoples with Disability, and they will make the determination. They will give you a letter stating whether you qualify or not. And then that's how we make that determination. Okay, you have to be a local business. What does a local business mean? For purposes of MBE, WBE, and BEPD, you have to be located within our 6-county region, or at least the majority of your workforce has to be full-time workforce has to be located in the counties of Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, and Will. Now for DBE and ACDBE, it's a little bit different because it is a national program. You just have to be located within the state of Illinois. Now for DBE, just a little side note, there are other agencies that also can certify you as a DBE. Once you're certified with one agency, you don't need to be certified with another. Those agencies are PACE, Metro, CTA, Department of Transportation, and City of Chicago. Okay, the business has to be 51% owned, controlled, and managed by a minority woman or persons with disability or somebody that goes through our socially or economically disadvantaged procedure. This is very important. So a lot of times we can have people that are business and it's owned by a qualifying person, but the qualifying individual has to prove that they are indeed in control of the program, of the company. And this will be, you will have the opportunity to prove this by all the documentation that we require. And if the officer has any other questions or needs any other information, they will reach out to you to get this information, okay? MB and WBE, okay, so we also have what's called a size standard. So for our MB and WB program, you must not be an established business. Now, an established business, according to our definition, is gross receipts must not exceed 37.74 million averaged over 3 years for non-construction firms. For construction firms, we use the SBA standards. So SBA standards will determine what an established business is depending on the type of work that you do. So for instance, for electrical contractors, according to the SBA, $15 million over an average of 5 years. You have to be under $15 million over an average of 5 years for construction firms, okay? So the 3 years only applies to non-construction codes. Now for DBE, you must not exceed what is a 2.4 million or SBA size limit for the primary line of business. We use whichever is smaller. So for instance, an engineering firm, according to SBA standards, the 7.5 million over an average of 3 years is what the threshold is to be an established business. So if you go above that 7.5 million, and you're an engineering firm, you cannot be certified as a DBE. Now for ACDBE, the limit is a lot higher because we do realize that ACDBE firms are going to make a lot more when it comes to gross receipts. And according to our federal regulations right now, it is at 56.42 million averaged over the last 3 years. There are some industries where there are exceptions, but those are very far and few between, so we're not going to get into that right now. Okay, and just a little bit more about size standards. Sometimes the SBA will define your size standard by the number of employees that you have. And just to give a quick and easy example, if you're a firm that is a distributor of fuel and petroleum, for instance, you won't be defined by the monetary gross receipt. You'll be defined by the number of employees you have in your firm. Okay, that's just for clarification. Okay, so the application process. As of right now, the city of Chicago is only accepting electronic applications. Now, you can fill out an electronic application at chicago.mwdbe.com. It's there are sometimes exceptions that can be made, but it has to be done by our deputy procurement officer or by our certification manager. Okay, but it's very few times that they will accept a paper application. There is a $250 fee for MBE and WBE. If you're applying for both, the fee is the same, $250. There is no fee for the federal program with DBE, ACDBE, and there is no fee for BEPD either. You must submit all your supporting documentation. This is very, very important, and I will stress this for the rest of the time that we are here. It is important that you submit all documentation. That is the number one reason why the review of an application can be take a lot longer. part of the information that we're going to request from you is for right. So the supporting documentation will be, you'll have the opportunity to upload it electronically. So you'll be able to attach it to your application. That'll be the final stage. And you won't be able to submit your application unless all the required documents are attached. Okay? Part of the information that we're going to need from you is we're going to need your contact information. We're going to need to know what type of certifications you're applying for. And like I mentioned before, for BEPD, you would have to have gone through the Schedule G process with the Mayor's Office of Peoples with Disability before you even submit that application. We're going to need your ownership information. We're going to need employee information, facility information, financial information. So just to go into detail a little bit more, on ownership information, we're going to require you to give us all legal documents that prove that you are indeed the owner of the company. We're going to need your lease, so we know what kind of facility you're using. We're going to need employee information, see who you're employing and what they're bringing to the table. Financial information is very important. We're going to need tax returns, both individually and corporate tax returns. For construction firms, it's 5 years. For non-construction firms, it's 3 years. For our federal program, DBE, ACDBE, it's 3 years, regardless of what type of work you do. We're going to need licenses for applicant and businesses. So, for instance, there are certain industries that require you to be licensed. For instance, if you're an architect or an engineer. Some construction codes do require individual license, like a mason license, electrical license, things like that. So we're going to need all of that. Additionally, we're going to need to know the experience of the qualifying member. How do we get the experience? We get your resume. We get any type of certifications of any type of professional association you're a part of. A list of the equipment and is to show that you actually own the equipment. Leases for equipment and facilities. This is one of the most important parts of the certification, being able to prove that you as a qualifying member can actually do the work that you are seeking certification in. Okay? We're going to need contract information. We want to know what contracts you have pending, what contracts you have done in the past 2-3 years. We want to know which ones are your biggest contracts. You're going to be able to provide us invoices or purchase orders along with canceled checks or forms of payment. We want to make sure that you actually did this work and that you were able to satisfy the contracts, that you were paid in full. This is going to demonstrate to us again that you have the expertise to do the type of work you're being certified in. Maybe not completely demonstrate, but help us determine whether you can do the work or not. Okay, the types of business that usually qualify and that apply for certification. We have our sole proprietor, usually one person. You get a certificate, an assumed name certificate. Entity really doesn't exist apart from the owner or the person that owns the company. You have your general partnership, which usually involves more than one person. You'll have a partnership agreement. That's how you would legally prove that you own this. We have limited partnerships. Again, we're going to need that assumed name certificate or certificate of limited partnership in order to be able to prove your legal ownership of this firm. Most commonly, we will have a corporation. Okay, we have corporation and LLCs are usually the most common forms of business that seek certification. Now, if you are a corporation, obviously legally a corporation is treated as an entity on its own, where you will not be held liable personally, right? The company will be held liable. If you are a corporation, we will need to make sure that you're in good standings with the state of Illinois. Believe it or not, this is one of the biggest issues why people cannot be certified. So you have to be incorporated with the state of Illinois. Sometimes there has been times where you are incorporated in other states for legal reasons. That's okay as well. But wherever you are incorporated, you do have to be in good standings and a viable company according to the law. We'll need your articles of incorporation, certificate of incorporation, your bylaws, and copies of stock certificates that have been issued both front and back, any ledgers, and very important, we're going to need your meeting minutes. Every year you should have at least one meeting where you can provide minutes. Okay. Now we'll talk a little bit more about an LLC. An LLC, again, in the state of Illinois and most states, you will have to be registered with the state. We will need to make sure that you are in good standing as well. And we're going to need a copy of your operating agreement. The operating agreement should have your statement of capital contribution and just list anybody and anyone that has any type of ownership in the applicant firm. Now we're going to talk about one industry in particular, suppliers. Okay? Now the supplier is an industry that is highly regulated by the city of Chicago. We want to make sure that indeed you are what the city defines a supplier as, okay? So this is what the city's definition of a supplier is. A supplier must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that owns, operates, and maintains a store, warehouse, or other establishment in which materials, supplies, articles, or equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the usual course of business. Okay? So if you're a supplier, you should be able to go to the back of your store, and this is generally speaking, back of your store, warehouse, or wherever you have your stuff, and pick up what you're going to be selling to the customer. Okay? Now, if you're a distributor, that's fine. A distributor is defined as a firm operating as a distributor, are identified as having a direct relationship with a manufacturer to distribute its goods and products within a specified territory or region. The goods and or products are not available or sold to the general public. So if you're a distributor, that's fine. But we will have to we'll have to see the agreement that you have with the manufacturer to make sure that you are a certified distributor of this product. Now, brokers. Firms acting as a broker are not eligible for certification as an MBE or WBE. Brokers you are able to be certified as a broker for your DBE and ACDBE program. Okay, but for MBE and WBE, you are not. A person or entity that fills order by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third-party supplier rather than out of its own existing inventory and provides no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer is a broker. So for instance, if I have a little office and people come to me and ask me for a list of materials, and then I go to HomeDepot.com and purchase them, then Home Depot delivers them directly to them, that's a broker. You will not be certified as an MBE or WBE, regardless of what type of materials you sell. Unless you're a distributor, then it falls under a little bit of a different standard. Okay. After your application is submitted, the process can take approximately 60 to 90 days from the day we receive all documents. It's important that you know that we are talking about all documents. Okay? Your application is checked to make sure we have all documentation. Documents are thoroughly audited. You may have a site visit. So there are certain industries that require us to conduct a site visit. So if your firm is a supplier, you will have a supplier, a construction code, trucking firm, and manufacturing firms. You will definitely get a site visit. If you're applying for DBE or ACDBE, it is mandatory as well to get a site visit regardless of what you're doing. So you guys are prepared, and the site visit will be coordinated between you and the certifying officer. If approved, your certification is valid for 5 years. This only applies to MBE, WBE, and BEPD. At the 5-year period, you will have to submit a recertification. Okay, right now, we do have what we call an expedited process. Now, the expedited process can be a little bit confusing because it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be quicker. It just means that we require less documentation from you. At one point, we were accepting from the Women's Business Development Center, but as of right now, temporarily, we have suspended that program. But we are still accepting the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council's certification. So if you're certified through the CMSDC, you can submit what we call an outside application, also can be referred to as an expedited application. So like again, it's only expedited because you won't have to submit as many documents as originally is requested. Now, maintaining certification can it's easy and simple. You just have to remember to do what you have to do every year, okay? Every year you must submit a no change affidavit. During this, you will also notify the certification and compliance divisions regarding any type of organizational changes, business name changes, any type of changes in ownership within 10 business days, okay? So aside from doing your annual no change affidavit, if something happens before it is due, you have to let us know. Okay, it's very important. And again, every 5 years, MB, WB, and BEPDs have to submit a recertification application. Now, let's say that you fill out an application, you get certified, but then you realize, oh my God, I forgot to ask for a different code because I also do this. Or maybe throughout the years, you develop other skills and you want to expand the scope of services that you can be certified as. That's acceptable. We have what we call an expansion of service request. During your expansion, you will send the city a letter just explaining that you want to add a certain code or service that you provide. We're going to ask you for information such as if there's required licenses, future and or present contracts or past contracts that you have performed this type of work, and if there's any additional insurance that is needed. So it's going to be a review as if you were submitting a new application, but we're not going to ask you for basics like who owns your company and things like that. It's more going to be a review of whether you can do the work or not. Okay, so our certification is accepted by us and our sister agencies. Our sister agencies are defined as Chicago Public Schools, Cook County, the Park District, Public Building Commission, the CHA, which is the Chicago Housing Authority, CTA, Chicago Transit Authority, City Colleges, Metropolitan Pier Exhibition Authority, and the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. So they also have compliance goals to include minority and women-owned businesses. So they will only accept our certification. We will also accept Cook County. City of Chicago also accepts Cook County. So if you're certified with Cook County, you will not need to be certified with the city as well.
Is it vice versa?
It's vice versa. So they accept ours and we accept theirs.
So with the sister agencies, you're saying once you're certified,
So none of these agencies certify. Only us and Cook County. Cook County and City of Chicago certify. So you will not seek any other certification other than the one that we have here. But again, if you're certified with Cook County, you don't have to be certified with us. And because we're gonna accept their certification and they're gonna accept ours. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the top 10 reasons why we deny certification of firms, okay? So the main 10 reasons applications are denied are as follows. Okay, so you're not able to demonstrate ownership or control of your business. This can be a different way. So for instance, you're not able to provide proof that you legally own this business, you'll be denied. Or if you're not able to provide that you're in control of your company. So for instance, if I have an architectural firm, right, but I'm not a licensed architect, and I have never worked for an architect in my life, but I have one of my partners who's maybe not a qualifying member, is an architect, I won't be able to be certified as an architectural firm. I mean, I can do business as an architectural firm, but I just won't be able to be certified. Okay? Unclear description of critical functions and who is responsible. So this happens a lot. Whenever you are filling out your application, please be sure to only talk about what you can do and you have done in the past. So for instance, if I have a firm, and I'm like, well, in the future, I want to do consulting services, engineering consulting services. In the future, I want to do architectural consulting services. In the future, I want to do office administrative consulting services, and I want to build a building. It doesn't matter what's going to happen in the future. What matters is what you can do now. So keep it to that and be able to explain it. Because also sometimes we get caught up and maybe confused of what type of services we do. And it's a common error. It's a common mistake where, I'll give you an example, a quick example. If, for instance, somebody that wires buildings, runs telecommunication wiring. Just because you run telecommunication wiring doesn't necessarily mean you're an electrical contractor. Those are two completely different areas. Or just because you design images for commercial printing doesn't necessarily make you a commercial printer, right? To be a commercial printer, you need to own a bunch of equipment that's going to be able to print all these posters or postcards. But in order to design it, all you technically need is software and a good computer. So be sure you know exactly what you're asking for, because that is a big reason why a lot of times people be denied, and then they come back and say, wait, hold on, but this is what we do. And then we're like, okay, so then it makes sense that you would be certified in these codes instead of these codes. Okay, but it is your duty to be able to satisfy this. Again, just real quick, especially with this section, we get a lot of questions. Write them down, and we will have the Q&A at the end of the session. Oh wait, hold on. I still have to. Okay, so startup funds. One of the most basic things that we do for certification. Okay, startup funds is very important to know where those startup funds came from. So you have to be able to prove that it came from money that you had, or maybe money that you borrowed, which is fine, but that you borrowed from a visible somebody that. So say for instance, if my father-in-law is a non-qualifying member, and my father-in-law owns an electrical contractor, and I'm an electrician, and then my father-in-law is like, here's $20,000, become an electrical contractor and get certified. I will be denied. There's no way you can be because, I mean, there's rules on gifting, so you would have to be able to prove that it was an actual gift and things like that. So that's another main reason why people get denied. Now, outside secondary employment, if you're employed by someone else full-time, that can be an issue. It can be an issue. Doesn't necessarily mean it will be an issue 100% of the time. If I'm an electrician and I work full-time for another electrical company, when do I have time to do my type of work? But if you're able to demonstrate that you can do your work outside of regular business hours, then you can be certified. There are some industries where you can handle it if you're a real estate agent, but you have a full-time job at doing appraisals or something. You can do your showings later in the evening or whatnot. So, I mean, if you're able to demonstrate that the outside or secondary employment is not a factor, you can get past it. So here we have the companies located outside of our 6-county region, but that would be very evident and clear whether you're in our 6-county region or not. Okay. Point of contact did not respond for request of information in a timely manner. So whenever we request information, we will send you, and we'll give you plenty of time to answer. If you don't respond the first time, we'll send you a second response or request. If you guys are not respondent at all, we will deny your certification. Now, let's say, for instance, we're asking for information, and you just need more time to get it done. That's fine. You just need to let us know, and we'll grant you more time to submit the information. Inconsistencies amongst various documents. So if I'm asking you for contracts, and the contracts have a different company name, and then you tell us, well, that was the company I owned 5 years ago, but we never knew about this other company, that can be cause for denial as well. Sometimes we get contracts that are not fully executed, that information that is inconsistent or just not complete. That can be a cause for denial. Required documents are not attached and no explanation is given. So for instance, I'll give you an example. If I'm applying for certification and I only provide last year's tax returns, but not the 2 years before that, I can be denied. But now, if you just started your company last year, we're going to understand that you're only going to have 1 year of tax returns. So as long as there is a real reason that can fully demonstrate that the information is not available, that's not going to be a problem. Okay, and we also want to make sure that, like, all tax documentations, anything you submit must be signed. Okay, it's a big problem. A lot of times we get tax returns and it says copy, right? 90% of the time it's going to be a copy. But if it's a copy, you need to sign it attesting that this is the most accurate information. A lot of times you will have an e-file, right, that you're electronically filing. If you provide that you electronically filed, that's sufficient as well. Okay? So, if you guys have any questions regarding this process, you guys can always come visit us here at City Hall, which is 121 North LaSalle, room 806. Or you could give us a call at 312-744-4900 and dial extension 1. Extension 1 will connect you to one of our certification officers. We'll be able to answer any questions. Also, there's assist agencies throughout the city that'll help you apply for certification. Now, I don't know if they have fees, and the city of Chicago does not personally or recommend anyone. We cannot personally recommend anyone, but we do have a list online of agencies that are there to assist you guys. Then you guys can call them, and they'll be able to give you specifics on any fees or things like that. Okay, so now we're going to move to question and answers. Okay, so we'll start with you. I'm sorry. We're going to have a microphone, and we're going to give it to you so the people that are watching us on YouTube can listen to the question.
Okay. What if you're an established nonprofit, but you want to become certified with the city, but maybe not in an area that you're certified, that your nonprofit status is in?
Okay, so nonprofits are not certifiable. You have to be a for-profit organization to be certified as a minority-owned business or a women-owned business. Non-for-profits, you can be certified for BEPD, which is Business Enterprise Managed or Owned by a Person with Disability. That one you can be certified as a non-for-profit. Now, again, we will touch on the fact that for MBE and WBE, you have to be able to prove whatever you are trying to certify yourself in. So if your company is currently involved in consulting, and now you want to become a construction, a builder of buildings, you're going to have it's going to be a tall task to be able to demonstrate that you can build buildings, going from consulting to building a 2-story house. So again, the burden is going to fall on you guys.
If you have someone that's already established MBE and they want to include you as their WBE, or you want to become a partner, is that something that you do, or you have to do a whole new certification for the WBE?
Okay, so we have a firm that's already certified either as a W or as an M, right? And now we're going to get another individual that will be able to satisfy the needs to add a different certification. Okay, so this is what we call, it would have to be a change in ownership, okay? We see it a lot where an MBE will bring someone in to try to get the WBE as well. So now instead of just being certified as a minority, they'll be certified as a woman. Remember, if you are going to be certified as a woman-owned business, you have to be in control of this company. You have to hold the expertise. You have to own legally at least 51% of the company, okay? So it's not just, I'm going to bring my sister into the company now, so now I can be a WB. No, and yes, you do have to submit a new application to become a woman-owned business. So you will have to submit a new application. Questions? Okay. Thank you.
I was just wondering, the MBE and the WBE, do you have to pay for 2 different certifications for a woman if she gets one?
No. So again, if you're applying for MBE or WBE and WBE together, it's only one fee. So it's $250 for both or for one.
You mentioned you needed 3 years of tax returns. So you're saying the business has to be around 3 years in order to do business with the city of Chicago?
Okay, so that's actually a good question because I normally touch on it during the presentation, but I didn't. Thank you for reminding me. So no, technically, in order to be certified with the city of Chicago, you just have to be a legal business in the state of Illinois. So if I incorporate yesterday, I can submit an application today. So no, you do not have to. You do not have to have 3 years in business. You just, if the information is available, we do need those 3 years of tax returns. If it is not available, just let us know why it's not available, and if it's a real legit reason, then it's fine. I mean, we do everything to get this information. It has to be a really good reason why it's not available. And again, if it's a new business, we understand. So that's a really good reason.
If the business is owned by two women, what is the recommendation on the ownership? Is it 51-49 or 50-50?
So we cannot do any recommendations. So, but to answer your question, we have had businesses that are two women that are 50-50. It just depends on who holds the control, who holds the expertise, right? And what kind of certifications you're seeking. I mean, if it's two Hispanic women, they're both minorities, they're both women, right? If it's a Caucasian woman and a Hispanic woman, I mean, it all depends on who holds the expertise. Because it's not only about meeting the basic standards, it's about meeting that requirement of expertise and being able to control the company. Any other questions?
I just had a question about the startup fund. Can you actually start up from, say, your 401k or something of that nature?
Right, so
Is there a stipulation there?
no, so we talked about startup funds a little bit. There's no set in stone rule on startup funds. For instance, right now I'm working on a certification where the qualifying owner used her 401k to start the business. That's perfectly acceptable. The thing is, we just want to document and see where that money came from. And the reason why we do this is because we want to make sure that our firms are legitimately have a shot at being contracted and participating in our goals. Unfortunately, things have been done in the past where fraudulent companies have been set up just for certification. So that is the reason why we have all these strict rules. It's for the benefit of the applicants, because we want legit business owners that are minority and women to participate in our contracts. So never take anything that we do in certification as personally or anything like that. Remember that at the end of the day, the reason why we're doing this is for your benefit, to make sure that everyone in our system is, as best to our ability, we're able to determine that you guys actually do qualify and that you guys are in control and that we're not being, that we don't have fraudulent companies out there.
Just one more question. Being a contractor as a woman, what would you really have to provide as qualification? Just that you had done some renovation prior?
So it's hard to answer that without giving you advice.
Okay.
And again, we cannot give you advice. Just demonstrate that you can do the work. However you feel, and this is what I always tell everyone, however you feel that you can show me and prove to me that you can do the work, that's what you should provide. Anything and everything that you feel is sufficient, provide that. Okay?
I just got one question too. You were saying brokers not qualified, because I have a travel agency, so everything that I do belongs to somebody else.
So the broker, so good question. Travel agency. Yes, you're a broker, so would that's a little bit different because you won't fall under the supplier categories. You would fall under travel agencies. So travel agencies are a little bit different. So it's just, if you are being certified as a supplier NACIS code, then that's when the whole broker rule comes in. It doesn't come in for other industries.
Okay, so which category would that
So for yours, it's you won't be a supplier. You would be a travel agent.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Any other questions?
Being a contractor, if I can demonstrate that I can do, like, say for example, like tile, but then I'm they're both minorities. Would I be able to add them on?
No, they would, no, so if you have business relationships with other contractors, they need to apply for their own certification, but you will only be able to be certified in the work that you personally can do. So for instance, if we'll use this real quick. A general contractor. The idea of a general contractor is that you contact them, they will be able to do any work for you because they have subcontractors that can do it. So general contractor is the exception to the rule. Now, if I'm an electrical contractor, but my buddy has a plumbing company, I would not be able to be certified as a plumber. I would only be able to be certified as an electrician. Also, one thing to keep in mind, part of the review process, especially for construction, we want to make sure that you're actually doing the work, that you're not subcontracting most of your work. So that's important, that you're able to provide sufficient evidence that you are actually the one doing it and not hiring someone else, okay?
I know you talked about startup funds, but what about startup businesses where you can't really prove that you have a track record of doing whatever it might be, like if you want to be a supplier, supply pencils to CPS, but you've never done it before?
Right, okay, so it's hard to explain that, but I mean, your resume and your work history should be able to provide us with enough information to say, well, for instance, if vending machine, right? If I want to get certified in my company as a vending machine operator, I can prove that I've been in the private sector, public sector, and I've been a professional for 25 years. But I've never owned a vending machine. Is that going to hurt me? No. All I have to do is provide enough evidence that I bought 10 vending machines. Can I operate them? Probably, most likely. So it all depends. It's just your experience and see what it is. Okay, with that, I'm going to stop the Q&A, but I'm going to stick around and I can answer your questions one-on-one. Yeah, and I'll answer your questions one-on-one. We want to thank you for attending this workshop. I hope it was informative. Our next workshop here in 15 minutes is going to be how to doing business with the city, if you want to stick around for that one as well. Again, thank you very much. Have a good day.